Hello, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of the Fortified Agent Training webinar. My name is Fred Malik and I am the Fortified Programs Manager here at the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. Our agenda for today, we'll cover the North Carolina Wind Mitigation Credit Program. We'll discuss, or I'll provide you with some background information on who is IBHS and what is it we do. We'll talk about the fortified building programs that qualify for discounts in North Carolina. And then we'll wrap it up with a review of the material we've covered. And in the recorded version of this webinar, obviously I won't be able to field questions, but I will try to address commonly asked questions that we've received during live presentations of this material. The purpose of this webinar today is to provide you with basic information about how homeowners can qualify for fortified discounts under the Wind Mitigation Program in North Carolina. The Wind Mitigation Credit Program goes into effect May 1st of 2011. As you may be aware, if you're an agent active in North Carolina or you write business in North Carolina, the credit program only applies to 5 territories that are along the coast and comprise the 18 coastal counties of North Carolina. And I've shown a map here that comes out of the insurance circular that was put out by the North Carolina Rate Bureau. That's the June 29th circular. Also included in that circular is this mitigation credit chart that gives dollar values for specific credits. There are 2 things that you should be aware of on this chart. And the first is that IBHS has 2 building programs that qualify for different levels of credits. And those are the ones that are indicated now with the red box on the screen. There is the Fortified for Safer Living program, which is a new construction program. And then there is Fortified for Existing Homes, which is a methodology for improving the performance of existing structures. And there is no limitation on the age of the structure. There are different guidelines based on different systems that are involved, and we'll cover that in detail later. But in addition to the fortified credits, the mitigation program that has been adopted by the state also allows for credits to be awarded for different features that may exist in a particular home. These are separate from the fortified program and cannot be combined with the fortified program. Those credits are the ones that are outlined in yellow. A homeowner can qualify for a credit if their home just has a hip roof, if it has opening protection, or if it has a combination of hip and opening protection. These 3 credits do not require fortified evaluation or inspection. The validation of these 3 features is handled by each company on their own. IBHS has nothing to do with that verification. So that's a little bit about the credit program that exists. And again, this program goes into effect May 1st of 2011. And the whole purpose of our webinar today is to discuss the fortified programs and how they qualify for discounts in the state. So let me talk a little bit about who the Institute for Business and Home Safety is and what we do. Essentially, IBHS is a nonprofit applied research and communications organization entirely supported by the insurance industry. Our singular focus is to reduce and eliminate residential and commercial property losses due to natural and man-made forces for the benefit of our industry and for public good. Our agenda is multi-peril. Our discussion today will center around the hurricane peril because that's the peril that's really being addressed in the credit program, but we also deal with things like high wind and hail, flood, fire, earthquake, ice and snow, to name a few. This is a slide that describes the basic building performance chain. Moving from left to right on the screen, we really have methodologies and guidance to influence in a positive way each of these characteristics or each of these areas of the construction of a property. Where you build, how you build it, how well you maintain it. In our new construction program, Fortified for Safer Living, we deal with things like location and location-related risks, design, and then ultimately construction and verification of compliance. In the retrofitting, we can look after the fact at how well a design was executed. We verify construction, and then we also give feedback about how well the property is being maintained and whether or not maintenance is needed to qualify for a designation. So I commonly get asked, well, what are the benefits? Why should I do this? And obviously there is the financial incentive of the credits that are available, but the overriding benefits are more qualitative in nature, and they deal with things like life safety, protection of property. A company can certainly give money towards rebuilding a home, but it's almost impossible for somebody who's experienced a disaster and been dislocated by that hurricane. It's almost impossible to replace the memories that they may have lost of their children growing up, or their wedding dress that was destroyed, or photo albums and the like. So we're really talking about complete property protection. Community resilience. The more homes that are protected in a community, the better a community will be able to withstand hurricanes and get back to life as usual. This leads to reduced economic upheaval, preservation of the environment. We don't have to consume raw materials by rebuilding houses that don't need to be rebuilt or that aren't destroyed. That lowers the carbon footprint, and it limits the amount of material that goes to landfills. And in some cases, these types of improvements in this mitigation can lead to either improved access and availability of insurance, and certainly towards the affordability of property insurance. So IBHS, funded by the insurance companies and reinsurance companies, has recently completed the construction of a $40 million testing facility that allows us to test real-life subjects, building subjects, in a massive wind tunnel where we can create hurricane-force winds, realistic wildfire scenarios, realistic hail, and we can simulate up to 8 inches of rain per hour. And this is a picture of what that lab looks like from the outside. It's located in Chester County, South Carolina, in a little town called Richburg, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. The heart and soul of this facility is the array that you can see here in the upper left-hand corner. These are 105 6-foot diameter fans capable of generating winds up to 130 miles an hour. And inside the wind tunnel, the lower left-hand corner, we can build full-scale, 100% complete houses. And here you can see 2 specimens that are in the wind tunnel. These are 2-story homes, about 1,500 square feet. When we have a single specimen in the chamber, we can put them on this turntable, and we can actually rotate the house to change how the wind interacts with the different surfaces of the house. But we can actually fit up to 9 of these buildings in this test chamber at any given time. In addition to our testing ability, one of the other great opportunities that this lab gives us is the ability to capture how these buildings are performing under these extreme conditions in high-speed, high-definition camera with high-speed and high-definition cameras. It allows us to take and tell a compelling story to homeowners, builders, and the general public. Here's what's happening when you're in your home as it is going through these different events, and we can now do that in such a way where we can show these buildings failing without putting lives at risk. And as I mentioned, we can test wind, hail, wildfire, and wind-driven rain. This is critically important because there is not an area in the country that does not experience high winds at some point or another, whether they're hurricane winds or tornado winds or nor'easters that affect the interior of the country. So high wind or extratropical winds are really a peril that every home in the United States has the potential to experience, and that includes severe thunderstorms. So do we just fire up those big fans and let them howl and blow winds as severe as we can get them until structures fail? Well, while that is fun to do, that is not how we approach what we do, the research that we do in our facility. we actually have the ability to dynamically control how the winds, the water, the fire embers, and the hail, how they are introduced and how they interact with the buildings. And we can mimic actual events that have been recorded in the real world. And this is an example of what that looks like. This is a wind record for a thunderstorm that occurred in Lubbock, Texas. And you can see roughly halfway into the record here, if you're moving from left to right, you'll see a peak wind gust that goes up to almost 130 miles an hour. And that's just for a thunderstorm. And this is in Lubbock, Texas. It was not necessarily a close proximity to water. So it's important for us to be able to mimic these types of real-life storms, then the patterns that they create, so we can get a realistic idea of how houses will perform. This is another example. This is a brief wind record for Hurricane Ike. You can see that the gusts are much closer together, the peaks are higher. But this is a simulation that we can run in the lab and time these exact wind speeds at these exact times in these exact intervals to see what happens to a home when the wind blows. And these are dramatic examples of what happens when we do apply these types of winds to structures that are built to code, believe it or not. The pictures you see of the houses that are experiencing traumatic failures here, or complete structural failures, are homes that are built to code. They are built to a Midwestern building code, which applies to 90% of the country, and they are supposed to withstand 90-mile-an-hour winds. The winds that these subjects experienced over a very brief period of time, less than 1 hour, reached levels of 90 to 103 miles an hour. And the failures occurred anywhere from the 88 mile an hour range on up to 103 miles an hour. And so it's important that people understand that building codes today produce homes that are designed for life safety. In other words, for you, just long enough for you to get out of the house is what the building code's real purpose is. The fortified standard is to protect the property. It is not a shelter-in-place standard. We still want people to evacuate if a storm is coming, but the chances that the home will be there when the family returns is what we're really trying to accomplish.